fellas, if you are taking care of kids that are not yours and you don't have to, on behalf of the mothers, on behalf of the women, we want to wholeheartedly thank you. When we go through breakups and divorces, the kids get the short end of the stick. They're the ones whose family dynamics have changed. There's a parent leaving the house. And whether that parent does what they're supposed to do, whether they come in frequently, trying to see their kid more, spend time with them, or whatever the case may be, we don't have, the parent that's with the kid doesn't have any control over that. Now, I do believe it's our responsibility to always provide a productive and positive environment to allow that to happen, whether that's in your house or just letting your kid, be with the other parent, or encouraging them to be with their other parent more than what a court order says, right? I've always been that parent. I don't care if you're paying. I don't care what's going on. None of that matters if you're trying to spend time with your kid. It's productive, whatever. I let my hands go off that. To each their own. To each their own. You do what's right for you and your kid. But I always just feel like keep that positive environment for your child. But anyway, I just early on just recognize you can't force anybody to do anything they don't want to do, right? And sometimes it pisses you off because you're like, wait, that person is gone. I'm with these kids now the majority of the time. And I have a responsibility to these kids. They do too. And we're not just talking finances. We're talking about raising them, spending time with them, supporting them, talking to them. Like all these things the other parent is responsible for too. But now the responsibility, the brunt of it is on the parent that's in the house. And most of the time it is the women. I do know men that are raising their boys or raising their kids by themselves, and big ups to them. But the majority of the time it is us women with the kids by ourselves. And I would get pissed about that because I'm just like, wait, if a woman goes out and she's hanging out, traveling, doing whatever she's doing without her kids, she's criticized so much more. Like, don't she have kids? She's out doing this, she's out doing that. But yet that man is doing whatever he wants to do, coming, going, new woman, old woman, whatever he got going on. Just living, new job, whatever the case may be, traveling, doing whatever he wants to do, and nobody's criticizing that. Nobody's saying, "Hey, where are your kids at?" But the woman, she's so much more criticized. So that thing is annoying. That dynamic of it is annoying and it's frustrating for a lot of women because it's like, no, just as much as I'm responsible to this child, so are you. But the fact that we can't make that other person do what they're supposed to do, that sometimes is hard. But what I learned is I'm not going back and forth with anybody. I'm not calling you on the phone, asking you, when are you going to pay? When are you coming? Are you coming? Can they come over? Like, I'm not doing any of that. Like, at the end of the day, whatever relationship you have with your kid, especially if this child is of age to have their own phone, like they're walking, talking, whatever on their own, what are we talking for? There's not a thing that we need to talk about unless it's something important, but other than that, talk to your kid directly. You have a relationship with your kid directly. You can never say, she held me from my kids, I couldn't see. You won't lie on me. You won't lie on me. But anyway, like, I just know I'm so grateful for this spiritual journey because one thing that God showed me is that God will provide. Ever since I was a kid without my own parents, God provided for me. And I had my grandmother, but God provided everything for me. For years, I was a kid without my parents. So if my kids at least have me, not saying I'm any better than the other parent, but if they at least have me in the household with them and I'm actively taking care of them, involved with them, and all this, like, if God provided then, he will provide now. And he has. And he has. And I'm talking about beyond finances. When I was like, dang, this situation with the dad, not, whatever the issue was, I submitted that thing to God. I said, I'm not going back and forth with him about what he should do and shouldn't do. He knows what he should and shouldn't do. All you want to do is see that I'm mad and I'm pressed about it. I'm not doing that. I'm taking it to God. Listen, when I was in my study time, I came across 1 Timothy 5:8. And it says, but if anyone does not provide for his own, and especially for those of his household, he has denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever. When I read that, baby, God, you said in your word, this is what you said. So I take it to God. I lay it at his feet. I'm not worrying and stressing about anything. And you know what God did for me? He sent coaches. He sent mentors. He sent uncles. He sent cousins of cousins to come in and help me with my kids, especially with my boys. I got mentors that have called me, coaches that have called me, hey, I'm going to take them to this game with me and my sons. Hey, we're going to do this. We're going to do that. Hey, I'm going to put them on this team. And don't worry about it. We got it covered. Say what? God will provide. And I'm not saying anybody replaces the Father, but let me tell you, when he came through with an influx of men to help me with my kids. So something I would have been worried about, one person not doing what he was supposed to be doing. God said, I got 4 men for you. That's going to come in and help you. And don't worry about the finances because they got it covered. What? Come on now. Same thing with my kids. These are my kids, but they were God's kids first. He blessed me to be able to raise them on this earth. So how can I help? How can I raise them? What can I do? What do they need? What do they need from me? Who do I need to be as a mother? That's always been my thing. But when they're bucking the system, and they trying to buck me, you're not doing what I say in my house because I said what I said. And not even in a demeaning way, but you're going to be respectful. What goes on in my house goes on in my house. What you can and can't do. If you think you're going to buck in any type of way, I'm going to God. These are your kids. God, these are your kids. So they bucking me. And before I buck back, Lord, you better intervene. And every time God shows up. Every time. So I just encourage anybody that is raising children on their own and overwhelmed. I have 3 children. And overwhelmed, God will help you walk that thing out. I'm telling you. But we don't submit to God on certain things because we're just like, I'll figure it out. I'm stressed out. I'll figure it out. Now God said, bring everything to me. Pray about everything. Worry about nothing. And when I'm in my word with that, you sure right? Because let me tell you, God, I got a list of things that I was worried about. But I know you got me covered. And the game changed for me. Spiritually, it changed for me. Ladies, I just want to encourage you. I wrote 3 journals. One of the journals is a healing journal. It's a healing after breakup journal. And it's not necessarily just for divorce. It's not for divorce specifically, but it can be. But I wrote a 7-day journal just on how to bounce back from that thing. How to not just bounce back and do what you want to do, but on your spiritual journey, how that can help you in that situation. I also wrote a gratitude and a prayer journal. And these journals are not blank journals. They're not just journals that are put up on Amazon with a bunch of blank pages for you to just write in. I'm not going to say instructional, but side by side. Like if you're a beginner in this spiritual walk and you need help even learning how to pray, I put all this in a journal to help you the same way that I had to figure it out and get help myself. But by the grace of God, by the faith that I have in God, like all these things. So I'll link the journals. They're in my bio. I'll try to link them under the video. But I just want to encourage anyone that is raising kids on their own, submit that thing to God, and God will provide in a way that you won't even know, like you don't even expect. The finances and all that stuff, I know it's hard. I understand how it can be hard being a parent alone raising kids. But when you give that thing to God, God will definitely help you with that thing. The same thing for men. I know that there are men. I know a man personally that's raising boys by himself, and he's doing a fantastic job. I don't know the ins and outs with the mother or whatever, so I'm not judging there. But this happens on both sides. But at the end of the day, the kid gets a short end of the stick, right? And that's what's the main thing, what's important. But I just want to encourage y'all, give it to God. Submit to God's word. Remind God of his word. And he will definitely stand on that thing for you. I think I said everything that I wanted to say, all the points I wanted to hit on. But this is not to, tear down anybody else or to shoot shots at anybody. I just want to encourage anyone that's raising children by themselves. Submit that thing to God because God equipped you for this journey. But he's going to be the one to give you the tools for it too. And give yourself grace because at the end of the day, God is giving you so much grace. And he'll walk that thing out with you if you wanted to.